Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 134 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 134 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you are here this week. I hope you stay for a very long time. And if you have been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you deep. Thank you for always supporting me and being on the journey with me. It has just been quite a ride, and I wouldn't be here without you. So thank you for coming back this week. Before we get started with this week's episode, I know I sound like a broken record, but you guys know how I am. I like to be extremely foundational, and we are building a safe space. And since we are building this safe space, I want to make sure that our foundation is strong and that we are building it on two very important tenets, which are clarity and love. Clarity, it's really straightforward. I just like to make sure that you understand that I created the Well Done Life podcast because I believe women are the foundation of society. And we need places where we can be our most authentic self. And I'm talking about tears, laughter, inspiration, motivation to be who we are called to be. And I think that's really like the tenet of living the well done life. It's learning that there is an opportunity for us to have community, for us to grow when we share our stories, when we talk about all the things that have made us into the people that we are, and we give other women the opportunity to hear us be authentic and vulnerable. We can really create growth there because there is somebody who is going through something. There is somebody who is contemplating taking a risk. There is someone who's in love and needs advice. There's someone who wants love and needs advice. I mean, there's just so many different aspects to the situation and of being a woman. And so you want to make sure that we are creating a supportive environment where we talk about it all, no judgment, and it's all love, because that's always going to be the root of what we do in the space. And that actually is the second foundation. Love is the thing. And so I like to make sure that I am sending you love in this space by sending you prayer. So I want to make sure that this week I am sending you prayers of peace. It is crazy out here. We are in the Endgame, y'all. It is December. And it is probably just nonstop action going on already. If your week is starting like mine, we're exhausted. I know I'm exhausted right now. And it's just the first of the month. But at the same time, peace is important, and we still have to carve out time for peace. So I am sending you prayers of peace. I want you to find it, hold on tight to it, make space for it, and really protect it while you are in this time, because outside of all the craziness of the holidays, it's a magical time. It's a time for family and friends and laughter and all the wonderful things, but it also is a jumping off point, which we'll talk about later. So you need to make sure that you are giving yourself space and time and energy and peace so that you can prepare for that jumping off point to prepare you for 2023. So I'm sending you peace. I'm also sending you prayers of abundance. I know that probably sounds pretty timely in the month of December with all the holidays, but I always am going to wish that you are financially abundant. I want your pockets to be deep so that you can be a blessing to yourself and to others. But I'm also hoping that you are finding abundance in your spirit. I'm hoping that you find abundance in your heart with love and with all the wonderful things that you have accomplished this year. And we'll talk about that as well a little bit more. But I want you to be abundant in your soul and your spirit, because those are the things that last much longer than silver and gold. So definitely want to make sure that you have abundance. Of course, love, because love is a thing. I mean, it is one of the most important things. I want you to feel good love too. I mean, that reciprocal love. You know how I love to tell y'all, from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet type of love. I want you to have that because you deserve that. And don't ever let anyone make you feel like you deserve less than that type of love, because you do. And I'm also sending you prayers of empathy going into this season in the first month of the year. First day of the month of December. You can tell the mind is starting to get a little faulty. It is 10:30 p.m. So that's what happens after a long day at work, but we're going to power through. But yes, I want you to have prayers of empathy because yes, this is a very joyous time. And it is a very reflective time. It is a magical time. But there are also a lot of people who go through a lot of struggle during this time. A lot of people are not happy around the holidays. The holidays carries, mixed emotions for many of us. Be empathetic. You just never know what people are going through. Don't be afraid to reach out to your strong friends if you haven't talked to them in a while. Reach out to all your friends though, and check in and just, hold space for people, hold space for yourself, because again, everybody has something that they are trying to accomplish or deal with and live with. And you just don't know what people are going through. So try to lead with an empathetic heart. You'd be very surprised what you may learn about yourself as well as the people that you encounter on the journey. So I hope you feel a fraction, hopefully a fraction, a good full fraction of all the love that I have for you, because it is truly more than that. I promise my heart is truly abundant when I think of all of you in this community and how grateful I am for each and every one of you. So I am hopeful for that. And you know what? I do have another prayer that I want to add to that really quick, because I was on Instagram today and I was scrolling in between my meetings and I saw this amazing post, and I'm gonna read it for y'all. But the first prayer, it made me instantly want to think about sending prayers of gratitude into the atmosphere, and how we kind of did that last week or the week before last episode, 133, the thankfulness check around Thanksgiving, and how important it is to just be thankful and grateful for all the things that we have been able to accomplish. But it is even more important right now in this season to also not forget to be grateful for everything that you have accomplished this year, because you're going to start to set goals and plan for the future and all the intention. Don't lose sight of all the hard work that you have put in this year, all the sacrifices, all the work, all the energy, all the tears, all the prayers that you have put out. This is your time. And it's also a time for you to remember all that labor, all that toil, and be grateful for where you are on the journey, and let that gratitude start to propel you going into 2023. And like I said, I was scrolling today because that's what I like to do in between meetings. And I came across this post and I want to read it to you because I think it's a great thing to remember as we are in this month right now. And it was on Joe San Diego is the page that I follow on Instagram. And they always have really beautiful religious quotes and just good inspiration. So I like to share good inspirational content because I think you have to cultivate your space in order to help you as you are on the journey. So I will make sure I share that in the show notes. But this post in particular, it is labeled Chapter 12 of 12, December. And here's what it says. You have put in the hard work for the past months. And now everything that you've been praying for and working on is finally happening. Leave all the regret, anger, disappointment, and stress behind. And welcome the newness that God is bringing. He is not done yet. Greater things are yet to come. Live the last days of the year filled with gratitude. It's time to acknowledge all the progress, growth, and healing you've gone through. Celebrate, for God has been faithful since the beginning till the end. And I was like, that just summed up exactly how I feel in the season, and how I know that there are so many of us who have been on the journey, who have been working and healing and praying and just, making changes in our life, no matter what they look like for each of us, to help live our best life. And sometimes you get in those seasons where it feels like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to make it. Or you're going through a season where it's like everything seems like it's coming against you. And you're like, I don't know if you're going to make it. I don't know if I can handle this. I just want to give up. And I feel like moments like that, moments like this are to remind us you've come too far to go back. You need to sit and think about how far you've come, all the things that you've accomplished. No matter how small, every step in the right direction is a step toward your next level, your next season. And you have to be able to speak life into yourself at times when you need that little encouragement, that boost to help keep you going, because what you've been praying for, what you've been working for, what you've been changing for, all of that is here. all that. So you're ready to give up right now. Don't give up now, honey. When you're that close, when you feel like you're about to fail, that's when it's coming. And you have to be ready to keep pressing and pushing through. So I love that, because I think in seasons like this, especially in that 12 and 12, that last month, the end game, because we are in the end game of 2022, y'all, this is not the time to give up, because we put too much energy, too much work to get where we are right now. We have to keep going. And that kind of leads me into this week's episode. And like I said, with you guys in episode 133, I laid the foundation of really what the content is going to look like for this month. Essentially, there will only be 2 episodes. It will, well, be 3. Well, no, 2, 2, because last week's, the other episode was at the end of November, and then this one, and then there will be one other. And because I am going into that time where I will be kind of taking a little sabbatical from the podcast and probably from some social media as well, trying to limit down, because it is time for me to start focusing about my next season. My hands are already up. Y'all know what I'm about to say. I'm going into my golden renaissance, baby. 2023 is the year of me, and I'm about to turn 50. So I have to prepare for that. It's not like I'm just going to magically just jump my butt into 50. And I have been kind of already starting to lay the foundation for, what I want to accomplish, not just in 2023, but in this next decade. I'm actually thinking much longer than that. What am I? Because as I kind of told you guys before, I don't really do like vision boards or anything like that. I look at things in my life that I need to let go of, and that's what I keep down. So I have like a list on my phone of things that I left behind in 2021, and I will have a whole nother list for this year, because I have found it to be very successful, of things that I am leaving behind in 2022 and that I will be leaving behind in this last decade. Because now that I'm going into this new season of my life, this next decade is personal for me, baby. This next 10 years, I am not playing. So I want to be super intentional about my time, about my energy, about my mindset, everything. So I am taking some time to prepare. And I want to make sure when I come back to you guys fresh on the pod, that we are moving accordingly, because it's a new season for us. It's not just me turning 50. The podcast will also, on my birthday as well, turn 3. And so I just want to take some time to get quiet, and I want to take some time to continue to focus, to heal. Because like I told you guys back in, I believe it was in August of this year, I have to go back and look and see if I can actually remember the exact episode number, but I have been in a season, and that season started for me back in August, like when my mom got sick, and just kind of feeling like God was about to move in my life in a new way. And I was preparing. I was in a new season of preparation. And so I have been in a season, and in this season, I have learned that I still have some more healing to do, because the triggers don't go away. And I like to somebody commented about it from that last episode, the thankfulness check, how I explained that on the healing journey is a 365-day a year journey. And so for me, when on my healing journey, in order for me to keep my mindset focused, I actually literally have to stay on top of myself. Like I have to sit on myself spiritually and emotionally, so that I can make sure that I am not distracted by things too much. Don't get me wrong, though, I still do get distracted. I got a little distracted today. I'm not going to even pretend. I had like a little tiff with my mom because she triggered me, and I didn't even realize it. But I was open because I just wasn't as focused as I needed to be. And I reacted, and we just had a little bit of butting heads, and I talked to her about it. But essentially, it was just her words and how she chose to speak to me. It triggered inside of me feelings that I used to have, where I would feel inadequate. And how I had to explain to her that at this journey of where I am in my life now, I need you to ensure that you understand the power of your words over me. and how I need you to speak to me in a way that is not necessarily accusatory, that could trigger me as feeling inadequate in certain areas of my life. And I am going to be more upfront and honest with you, explaining why I snapped a little bit on you about that, rather, and explain that I need to use my words more and be very open about it. So essentially, what happened, long story short, short story long, my mom said something to me that, was a little bit of flip of the lip and just kind of like her normal style, just being my mom. And normally I would have just swallowed it. I'd have been frustrated by it, but I just wasn't able to swallow it today. And I explained to her, I don't like when you speak to me in accusatory tones, and it makes me feel like you are questioning my mindset and my abilities. And I don't quite feel that. It makes me feel inadequate, and I am not doing that anymore. So I need to have you utilize your words in a totally different manner when you're talking to me about different things. And I will make sure that, of course, I am respectful to you, but I have to have you understand that. And it was a little hard for her because, my mom's a little old school. My mom is one of those kind of parents where it's like, well, the Bible says, you just, whoever does for their parent, and you just take whatever your parent says to them. But I always have to remind her, you and my dad never raised us that way. So be very, you understand that is like the gift and the curse. You raised us to be able to speak to you with our emotions from a place of honesty, even if it hurts your feelings, to understand why our feelings are valid. So I just had to kind of remind her about that. I mean, I'm sure that probably sounds super awkward coming from a 49-year-old woman having a conversation with a 75-year-old woman. But at this house, like I told her, it's all about healing generational traumas. We don't perpetrate the exact same trauma over and over again. It's all about healing and growth. And baby, as long as we are both above ground, there is opportunity for both of us to grow and heal. And so I just dragged her along the healing journey with me. And she was cool. We were able to say goodnight our normal way. And I gave her a little kiss goodnight, like I always do. Because yes, I do kiss my mom goodnight every night. And we were cool. And I think she understood it. When I came back, I was calm. I was able to articulate to her. But I say all that to say that moment, that instant, reminded me that I'm still healing. It reminded me that I still am dealing with some of the traumas inside of myself from moments where I would make mistakes. I've made mistakes financially. I've made mistakes all across the board. I'm never going to sit up in here and try to act like, oh, she's just so polished, like she's got it all together. This is a journey. This is a journey. I have made some crazy mistakes financially. I have been through the wire and then some, and I am still getting myself out of those mistakes. So I say that to say, don't be so hard on yourself about the mistakes that you made, because one, you're not alone. But then I also say that to say that we also constantly have to check in with ourselves to remind ourselves to forgive the mistakes, forgive the feelings that made us feel inadequate, forgive those things, not for the energy that it caused many years ago, not for the offense, not for the person who offended you, but for you. Because if you don't deal with yourself, if you don't deal with your traumas, they will come back. And essentially, I guess I hadn't fully dealt enough with the times where I felt inadequate, the times where I made mistakes, either financially or in any situation that made me feel less than. And I fell flat on my face and had to build my way back up. I was listening to that song Cozy the other day, and it's like, been down, been broke. Yes, girl, I have been all that. I was sitting up today, like talking to my sister about what happened. I was like reminding her, I said, girl, remember back in the day when, we were just like trying to put it all together, sitting up, eating a box of cereal each for a week, waiting for paychecks to come through, talking about the lights getting cut off. I mean, this is just real talk. This is just some of it. Oh my God. Or like living in apartments and ducking and dodging, having eviction notices served on you. And but you get it paid so that way they could cancel it before it goes to court. I mean, I'm talking that like maybe that's just a little too much honesty for some folks, but I mean, we're talking about healing because so I just would rather, give that. And there's so much more I could say because, like I said, I've been through it. And to be in this position now where we can look back and be like, wow, that was a crazy time. Look and remember that. Or I remember one time I was working. I didn't have any money and I had to wait. I didn't get paid until the next day. And I had to I managed to scrape up $5 and change so I could put some gas in my car and at least have enough gas to get home from work. And so I could at least, and I live close to a gas station, so I have enough gas to get home from work and then have enough gas to get across the street in the morning after I got paid so I could fill up my car. That's the type of situation that I'm talking about. And I wasn't in college when any of that shit happened. I was a grown behind woman making bad financial decisions and living as a consequence of that. And in those situations, I carried guilt. In those situations, I felt terrible. I felt like a failure. And I think about that. My sister was living with me when some of that happened. So her seeing that as well. And I carried that feeling. And so I had to learn, obviously, I learned how to turn that situation around. I learned how to move past it. I've learned how to make better decisions, and I don't live that way anymore. But I also don't ever forget that I was that down and that I was able to pray and build myself back, because that always serves as a reminder to me that God was ever faithful. Because in those situations when I was going through and trying not to lean into other people and just trying to make it, God was right there for me. So in this time, in this moment where I'm in the end game of 2022 and I'm being triggered and feeling like I'm a failure all over again, and because I'm being questioned about a decision or something that happened and being accused of not making good decisions, that just reminded me that, baby, I was triggered and I still have healing to do. And so I wanted to talk about that today because I think a lot of us are in these situations as well, where maybe as a part of this end game time that we're in, we really need to do a healing check. We've done the thankfulness check, and we should always be thankful, always be grateful, because those will propel you. But as we are moving through, as we have done the work this week, this month, this year, to get to where we are right now, make sure you also do a healing check and look at maybe what little places maybe inside of you that you think you've really healed from, but you haven't healed from. Because like I was saying before, I probably jumped off on this other tangent of telling y'all about how broke I used to be. Because honey, it was definitely comedy. I could definitely tell more about it. But I was triggered. And I still have healing to do. And it's funny because I'm actually in a healing cycle right now. One of my favorite authors who I talk about all the time, Alexandra L., she just wrote another book, and it's called How We Heal. And it's How We Heal. I have the book in my hand. Uncover your power and set yourself free. And so I am reading this book now, and it's an amazing book because it has like different writing prompts in it and meditations. I mean, so it's not just, straight story level why we heal. It's a collective, it's a workbook, it's exercise, and just trying to help you reclaim your story and how you heal to nurture yourself. And so I am doing this now, and I'm actually taking it a step further. She is coming, I'm in the Orlando area, she's coming to St. Pete. I'm going to drive over and do her class in person as a part of her book tour. And I'm really excited about it because we'll get a chance to hear her talk and actually do some writing and journaling, because I love moments like that, because it gives me an opportunity to, sit in stillness, because I'm not going anywhere. Once I get there, I'm in there, and I'm actually able to let out some of my emotions, take some time to heal. And so I'm saying all of that to say, I hope that as we are in this end game moment, going into this next season of our lives, this next 2023 year, that you are taking some time to check yourself for a healing check. Check yourself for a trigger check. See if there's those little crooked places, like I said, inside of you that you need to heal. And so I did. I sat down tonight and I added another point to my list because I'm going to share that with you guys. That'll be our last episode where we talk about, what I'm leaving behind, and hopefully it will inspire you. But I want to inspire you before we get to that point to deal with yourself, because it's not easy. It's not. It's so easy for us to sit up here and talk about being positive and moving on and being intentional and manifesting the life we want. And all of those things are possible. And all of those things you should be doing. You should be focused on living your best life. You should be focused on being abundant. You should be focused on having love. You should be claiming all of that energy into yourself. But I'm going to say it again. If you do not, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And even though you may not reveal it, it will still come back when you least expect it until you heal it. Because healing is about moving into forgiveness. It's about giving yourself space for more. And in this time that we're in, where we are all sitting down thinking about what we want going into 2023, or in my case, 2023 in the next 10 years, I need as much room inside of myself to be able to open myself up for the manifestations, open myself up for the blessings, open myself up for the abundance. So carrying aught in my heart, carrying fear in my spirit, carrying things that I haven't healed from, carrying past traumas is only blocking you as well as myself from being able to carry the abundance that we want. Because remember, when we are blessed with abundance, the windows of heaven open up so large there, it's so much more than you can contain. So then why would you be allowing yourself to hold on to things that are taking up space, that are preventing you from even being able to take in a blessing and abundance that's even larger than you can contain it already? You just want to be open. You want to surrender. So as a part of that, that means that you have to deal with the sides of yourself that are not easy, because that's going to limit you if you don't. And why would you want to be limited? I mean, we're entering in another year. None of us are going to get any younger. I'm sorry, none of us are Benjamin Button. It would be great. We might look like Benjamin Button, but we're not. So we have to take the time that we are given and live fully. And a lot of times we can't live fully. We can't be who we were called to be, who we want to be, because we're holding on to things, to past traumas, to triggers that are holding us back. And don't get me wrong, I would love to say that you can heal and remove a trigger all the time. You can't. It's always going to be there, because healing is a 365-day-a-week journey. But you're worth it. You're worth sitting on top of yourself. You're worth speaking into yourself. You're worth cultivating your environment. You're worth cultivating the company that you keep. You are worth making sure that your energy is guarded and protected, because you are trying to live your best possible. But all we have to do is be willing to make the investment in ourselves to heal and deal with the sides of ourselves that are just not necessarily always the easiest sides to look at. It's never easy. I mean, like I said, I bumped heads with my mom tonight, but I was very honest to apologize to her about snapping with her, because luckily I didn't go crazy. I was a little snappy about it. I just was like, I gotta go. I don't even want to talk about it. But I had to explain it to her, because I wasn't going to let her walk away thinking that it's just about a personality conflict or anything like that. Like, no, I'm at this phase of my life where it's like, I need to explain to you where I'm coming from, so that you can at least have a glimpse into why I feel this way, why I am requiring you to address me in a different way. And understanding that is why I'm going to hold you accountable to that. And it does not mean that I don't love you. It does not mean that I don't value you. It doesn't mean that I don't respect you. It just means that I respect myself enough to recognize that I cannot accept that type of treatment any longer. And then it also reminds me that I need to make sure that I deal with that. And when I say deal with it, that means that for me, I journal about it. I definitely am going to pray about it, and I'm going to surrender it. But I'll keep it there. I'll remember that it's there. But when I say surrender it, I'm going to give it up, and I'm going to give it up to God. I'm going to ask Him to clear my heart. And actually, I already did on the way home. I asked God just to like clear me, clear my heart, make sure that when I come back in, when I walk out of this car, cause I love to pray in the car, y'all. I know that probably sounds crazy. I just had to add that little side note, but my sister and I, like, we pray together every morning, and whenever like we're together, cause a lot of times we're in the car when we're together, outside of being here with my mom, we pray, we take moments to make sure that we're setting our foundation off on the right foot. And so I was able to just take some time and just pray and talk to God, because God and I are cool. We have really good conversations and just talk about how I want to surrender that to Him. I'll remember that it is something that I need to be cognizant of, but I am forgiving myself for how I used to be. I'm forgiving myself for the mistakes that I've made. I am forgiving, how I used to feel inadequate. I'm not inadequate just because I made mistakes. I'm a whole different person, and I'm still going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And even if I make mistakes, I'm still not inadequate. It just means I made a mistake, and I'm going to correct my mistakes. I'm going to take accountability for my mistakes. And that doesn't mean that I'm less than. And so I have to get rid of that mindset. So I ask God to, forgive me, help me forgive myself for those times when things were rough, and just to understand that I don't live there anymore, and I have moved on from it. And even if, God forbid, I were to fall back into a situation, that God would still be in the midst of it, and it would still be able to help me get through it. And He would still be able to kind of guide me, and I would still be valuable, because I don't tie myself to that any longer. I free myself, and I forgive, and I've moved on, and I've surrendered it. A lot of all of us, we need to do that in a lot of different areas in our life. And so that's why I said, I hope you can give yourself some time to do like a trauma check and a healing check, and see those little areas of yourself that might need healing. And I don't know what your circumstances are. I know many people that I've encountered lately have gone through so many different things, but a lot of the root to it is that we haven't forgiven ourselves for the things that happen, or we haven't forgiven other people for the offenses. You have to. It would be so easy to pretend like we could all move on, like it's no big thing. But a lot of times it's not going to work, because you're still going to get tried. The world is still going to be the world. Situations are going to still happen. You have to really give yourself an opportunity to truly forgive it and move on from it. And then you have to make the decision to understand that that is something that you are going to potentially be triggered by, and you have to stay on top of yourself. And when you stay on top of yourself, like I said, for me, I journal, I pray, I constantly am trying to check in with my mindset, making sure that I stay on top of it, so that I am prepared when that situation happens. And you have to be willing to do that same thing. And I feel like it should always be an easy choice, but I know sometimes it is hard for us to choose ourselves over other things, because we get distracted. And so that's why I said, in this season of distraction, because that's what the holidays are about, it's a distraction. It's a beautiful distraction, but it's a distraction. Make sure you are carving out that time for yourself. Make sure you are taking those moments of peace. And it doesn't mean that you have to take off if that doesn't work for you, but at least steal a few moments. Steal some time every day for who you are. Write down your feelings, write down your thoughts, write down the things that you need to heal, and make the decision on how you want to go about it. And I always like to make sure that I throw this in, because I don't sometimes feel like I talk about it enough, but therapy is a game changer. I know everybody's like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to go to therapy. But I see a lot of people going to therapy now. Therapy is a game changer. Like, it really is. And if you're in that space and you feel like you need support as you are trying to heal, don't be afraid to go to a therapist. There is nothing wrong with that. Having an outside support may actually be a blessing to you because that person can see things that you're not able to see. I remember when I first went to therapy, my therapist was like, "You have such a hard opinion of yourself." Because I'm literally my harshest critic. And the therapist was like, "Stuff you're telling me." She was like, "Girl, I've had to take care of my mama too. Believe me, you're doing an amazing job. I didn't do what you did." And she's like, "You're being so hard." It's like they can see the things that we can't see. A lot of times we're beating ourselves up about stuff and they're like, "It's not that deep." It's just not. It's just not that deep. Give yourself that space to understand that. And I always even think about that. And I've said that to a few friends too when we talk about God. Like, God's not that petty. Like some of the stuff that we feel like God is just going to get us about, God is like, "Look, I have other things to do and I forgive you. Move on. It's cool." Like for real. We are just like all gloom and doom and God is like going to come down or, I'm not going to be blessed. God is not that petty. God is not that petty. Some of the things that we're holding on to that we are really having a worry and fear about, God is like, "Look, I get moved past that a long time ago. I need you to move past it too. You're holding yourself back. I forgave you, child, a long time ago." So I think sometimes we need outside sources. So I say that to say, don't sell yourself short. And don't hold yourself back. If you need that additional support from a counselor, invest in yourself because you are worth it. Your mental health is worth it. Don't let anyone make you feel less than. Remember, you are worth it. And especially now, we are in the last couple of days, y'all, of 2022. If it's not now, when? When are you going to make the time to heal? If it's not then, when? If it's not now that you're going to invest in yourself to really heal, to do the work, even if that means getting a therapist, when are you going to do it? It's like we can keep making excuses or we can do the work. The key to it is doing the work. And the work is not easy. It's not. No matter how the internet may make it seem, it's not healing. It's not. Healing is tough and it's hard and it's ugly. But just know that you're not alone. All of us are doing the work. There's a lot of us out here doing the work. Find your tribe and let's support each other to being our best selves because we're in the end game. And Endgame of 2022. And before we go into 2023, make sure that your heart is right, your spirit is right, your soul. Forgive yourself for things that you feel are holding you back. That forgive yourself for offenses, forgive other people who may have offended you, and not just for them, but for you so that you can be free and go into 2023 light. This is a time of gratitude. This is a time of abundance. Think about all the work that you put in so far and don't be afraid to lean into that. I don't care how small it was. Let that be a battery in your back to remind you to keep going and celebrate those successes and prepare yourself going into this new season in 2023 because God has done so many great things for you now. That's only a fraction of what is to come. Don't be afraid to receive it. Don't be afraid to hold yourself accountable to having it. Just prepare yourself to be able to receive those blessings. Remember, like we just said, are coming from heaven and windows that are too large to contain. Make sure your vessel is open so that you can receive all that you have, because all that you have, all that you are aspired to be, all that you deserve, because it's your time, it's your season, and you deserve it. So I hope that gave you guys a little bit of motivation to check your heart, check yourself, trauma check, make sure you're ready. Like I said, this is the perfect time. I know it seems like a busy thing, one more thing to add, but you are the best gift that you can ever give yourself, and travel light going into 2023 because there are so many amazing things waiting for you. Don't carry traumas that don't need to stay with you into this time, next season. Travel light and prepare for amazing things to happen. Welcome the abundance that's coming into your life. So I'm very excited to, like I said, have one more episode with you guys next week. So before we go into 2023, and I'm very excited about next year because, like I said, I'm going to be moving very intentional with you. We will be celebrating My Hands Are Up, the Golden Renaissance together, and we will be having some very personal conversations as I make this journey into 50. And I talk with some amazing women who are doing some cool things. I have like some really cool ladies that I've already started connecting. I can't even believe it. I almost have like January booked out, y'all. We have some good things to talk about. And I want to invite you just, share your journey, share the things that you're preparing for, share anything that you're leaving behind, share anything that you're claiming going into 2023. I want 2023 to be an amazing year for you. Yeah, we're in the end game now of 2022, but this is just a season of preparation to me for 2023 and beyond. So let's go ahead and just bang this out and do great things together. So like I said, I will be back next week with that episode, our second and last episode of 2022. I am so glad that I got a chance to talk to you guys tonight. You guys have no idea how much this episode, getting all that out, blessed me. I hope it blessed you. I hope you will bless somebody else and share it with them. Please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Make sure you hit me up on the socials. I know I haven't said that spiel in a long time, but all my contact information is in the show notes. And I definitely love to connect and work with you guys and talk to you. So I'm sending you lots of good juju, lots of prayers going into this week. And we will talk again soon. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.